Good evening. My name is Gregory Morgan, and you are watching Love Talk. Most people are pretty good at being brothers and sisters, but when it comes to being fathers and mothers, or how to relate to your parents, or how to have the most complex relationships, which are erotic relationships, romantic relationships, love relationships in which your emotions are running wild, your logic is out the window. Those kind of relationships is where you and I, as human beings, have the most profound complications and really get lost and wonder what our life is about, what our mission is about, and what we're all about. As soon as sexuality and romance and all of those things get involved, people start to break down and relationships start to become so challenging. Sometimes people just run away. And that has been the most prevalent thing of our age, of our generation, and the generations just prior to this one, is that the divorce rate in relationships, marriage, which is supposedly the height of committed relationships, marriage has become like a 50-50 deal. More than 50% of all marriages end in divorce. The rate of divorce several years ago was 51%, and now it's closer to 56%. And for second-time marriages, people who've been remarried after a divorce, that rate is more like 65%. It behooves us as a culture and as a people to begin to look at how is it that we relate to ourselves and to the people closest to us in our life, such that it is empowering, enriching, and fulfilling, so that each person in the relationship has an opportunity to fulfill their own highest evolution, their own highest spiritual and mental and emotional potentials, rather than relationships being a source of unnecessary pain or setbacks in life. And I think that if you are watching this show, then you've probably, if you'll just take a look at your own life, you may have experienced relationships in your life in which you feel like you lost a great deal of time, or you lost something maybe financially, or you lost years of your life, or you lost your ability to feel intimate with other people after that. So for the most part, romantic relationships, we've discovered by coaching thousands and thousands of people over the years, and in my own life, I can just speak only from my own life, have caused us an experience of loss, diminishment, being less than, having a sense of being disempowered or disillusioned. For many of us, the thought of a romantic relationship is like the furthest thing from our minds. Like, I don't even want to think about it anymore. And yet inside there's some kind of hunger for a profound, intimate connection with another human being. And so it is to that end I dedicate this show, Love Talk, not because I think romantic relationships are the most important thing in the world, but I feel that they are the building block of all civilizations and all societies that have endured and prospered over time. There is a sense of belonging in a relationship and a sense of belonging in family that is absolutely essential to build a stable society, both economically, spiritually, emotionally, to have a society in which things build and progress, become more evolved and refined. It needs a place to stand. A society needs a place to stand. A relationship needs a place to stand. A human being out in the world competing for jobs, competing for money, working to promote themselves or their family or their society, needs a safe and stable place to stand. And if the relationship that you and I have, with our opposite sex partners or with our same sex partners, regardless of where you are, romantic relationship exists in both now, doesn't it? Same sex partners and opposite sex partners both have romantic relationships, and the fundamentals are actually the same, because in every relationship there's always a masculine energy and there's always a feminine energy in every relationship, regardless of the sexes. So when I'm speaking of relationships today and I'm speaking of masculine and feminine energy, the importance to you and the usefulness to you in your life will not be in trying to figure out whether I'm saying it right or wrong, or whether I'm being sexist, or I'm favoring one side or the other, or that I'm for heterosexuals or homosexuals. None of that really really matters. I actually don't have any preference in that matter. What I have a preference for, what I'm pulling for, if you will, what I'm promoting and wanting to clarify is that in any profound human relationship, as long as it involves any kind of sexuality, so just map it onto whatever you've got, will involve a masculine and a feminine based energy person, a masculine based person, and there's always a giver and a receiver in these situations. So map it onto your own relationship and see what's useful for it for you, rather than try to figure out if what I'm saying is true, or where did I get my research and all that kind of stuff, or what qualifies me to say that. You may be interested in that, and I can tell you that I am a certified master hypnotherapist, and I have a lifelong martial artist and meditator, and a studier or student and practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming and advanced neurological repatterning. So that's a lot of words and certifications, and what you really need to know is that I have been studying and practicing for over 35 years now. Every form of relationships, communication, psychology, ontology, neurological patterning, and trauma release. So I have studied and practiced a number of disciplines throughout my lifetime, and not necessarily because I wanted to have a bunch of diplomas and certificates on my wall and say, well, I know all this stuff, because it really doesn't. How you know that you know something is that you are living it in your life. So I've rarely been very interested in a great deal of academic learning so much as I have been interested in the hands-on, in your life application of these technologies. I don't have to be an expert race car driver or a driving professor in order to drive a car or to teach you how to drive one. And I can drive very, very well. What I need is a lot of practice. I need to practice driving a lot, which I've done. And in the case of these technologies, I have practiced these technologies in my life with my wife, Dr. Azita Sayan, and with my clients and our patients and the students that come to our seminars and workshops. We have practiced the application of these technologies, and we've seen that they work. Rather than dwell upon what is the right technology or the true technology, or the technology that so-and-so says is true, we have focused on, does this really work? And does it work in every case, or does it work most of the time? When do these technologies work? And we've seen that they work so often enough, so often, if something happens often enough, and that it's true most of the time, then you could say it is sort of a law or a principle by which it would be safe to assume that you could live. If every time you put water on the stove, turn on the gas, and watch the flame, and every time it boils, then you could kind of assume that some kind of a law is applicable there. And then you can go about figuring out at what temperature and how long and all that kind of stuff. That's rather immaterial. What you need to know is how to make the law work for you. You don't have to understand everything about it or why it works. You don't have to be a PhD in thermodynamics or physics to know how to boil water and to get the usefulness out of that, and to find out how does boiled water support me in 50 different ways in my life. Where is that useful and how can I apply it? So that's a little bit about what you can expect to hear from me when we open the phone lines. And this is a live show. It is a call-in show, and the best part of the show is not me talking and explaining things to you so much as it is interacting with you, the real viewers, who have your own personal concerns and issues, or places where you're stopped in your life. You may have habits that are non-supportive or that are limiting or inhibiting you in some way. You may have behaviors that you've tried to correct and not been able to. You may be in relationships in which you're trying to correct someone else's behavior and that's not working. So regardless of where you are in your relationships, regardless of whether you've been married for 20 years and have grown kids, or whether you're just out of high school or in high school, dating for the first time, whether you've been engaged for 5 years or just about to get engaged, regardless of where you are, whether you've just gotten married last year, there's always, if you're in a human relationship that involves romance and sexuality, you're going to have issues that will get where you're stopped or blocked, or that you don't know how to get past that. And so those are the things that I'm here to discuss with you, to tell you more about, based on my own experience in my own life with my own wife, and wives previous to this wife, in which I've made every possible mistake that you can think of. Well, maybe not everyone you can think of, but everyone I could think of. I've made a lot of mistakes in my relationships in life, and that is what prompted me, if you will, at a later stage in life, after getting a divorce and feeling like, I never want to be married again for the rest of my life. I don't know how this works. If having all the tools that I have at my disposal wasn't enough, then I came to the conclusion that marriage just doesn't work, or it doesn't work for me. And yet there was an overwhelming longing to be with someone, and in this case, somebody very specific. I met my wife, Azita Sayan, and we fell in love. I didn't mean for that to happen, but that did happen, and it was really kind of an overwhelming feeling. So I knew that I was going to have to deal with these feelings and learn how to make relationships work. So I really went to work for 3 to 4 years, focusing only on that area of life, but I didn't start with an empty toolbox. I brought with me all of my understandings of the many studies that I have done. I have done studies in thermodynamics and physics and quantum physics and Taoist principles and Zen and martial arts. So I had a basic understanding of masculine and feminine energies. I had very advanced communication training from several different training locations and organizations. I could go ahead and tell you a little bit about the 12 stages of romantic relationships. However, my highest desire would be that you would call in with your questions and give me an opportunity to contribute to you and make a difference in your life, because those are the things that we're really here for. And those are the things that are really going to make the most difference for you. So I want to go ahead and open up the phone calls. Again, my name is Gregory Morgan, and you are watching Love Talk. I'm going to go ahead and take calls, because that's, for me, the best part of the show. Hello, this is Gregory, and you are live on the air.
Hi, Mr. Morgan.
Hi, how are you?
I have a question for you. If this is what happened to one of my friends, and just lately he's very depressed, and he's very depressed in a way that she cries all the time. She has 2 kids. Not very happy with the husband, and he's not that kind of man that he has understanding for the situation. And I think now she's going back to her childhood, she said.
She's going back to what?
She said she never had any love in her life when she was young. I don't know. I mean, she's like looking for love now. Somebody give her love, attention. And
how long has she been married?
Sure.
How long has she been married?
They've been married for maybe 8 years, 10 years.
8 or 10 years. Do they have children?
Yeah, they have 2 kids. And she just had this kid maybe a year ago, or 9, no, it's a year, I think.
About a year ago, she had her second child?
Yeah, I guess.
They live here. Do they live here in the United States or in Canada?
No, here.
Here? If I was to talk to her and ask her, has her attention turned away from her husband?
Yes, she doesn't. She doesn't want to be around him at all. She said, I wish he would go somewhere for 9 months or 10 months or so, even more. And
if I was to ask her husband, has his attention turned away from her?
No, but see, the husband doesn't have any, how can I say it? He said, oh, you know what, if you don't give me enough attention, I'm going to go to somebody else. It's like that kind of man. It's like, hey, if I want anybody, I can just get it today.
Right.
You better be nice to me, otherwise, you know how I am. You can't treat me this way.
Well, okay, so they're both not working on their relationship. They're trying to make themselves happy. And a relationship is about making the other person feel good, so that then you'll be happy. It's a funny thing about relationship. You You work on making that person happy over there and you get happier. Now, I'm not talking about the kind of self-sacrificing, doormat, abusive kind of relationship where the other person is, 100% and you're the 0. But I'm talking about making yourself 100%, everything that you could possibly be in your own life with or without them. And then having them be 100% also. And that means that, you have to look, listen, it's normal, and I'm sure all the women that have ever had children recognize this, that after childbirth, sex is not exactly what you have on your mind, right?
Right, but
This is kind of a natural, nature has a natural childbirth. Nature doesn't want you getting pregnant right away, immediately, right after you've just had a child. So there's, the hormonal balance is one of like, don't even think about sex. I'm not that it's just like there's a repellent that happens. There's some work to be done on that in that area with people, because that's a time when men have maybe been under a certain amount of strain for during the time that the woman was pregnant and giving childbirth, and then while she's nurturing an infant, there's a new infant in the house that probably makes noise and uses the bathroom all times of the night and demands a lot of the woman's attention, and men naturally feel like, hey, what about me?
no, this is exactly what she's saying to him.
Yeah, she's saying what?
He's saying like when he kisses the child and he hugs them and kisses them all the time, she says, how about me?
Oh, she says, how about me?
She says, how about me? Why don't you give me some love? And he says, hey, you're not my child. You better get that attention and love from your parents. From your parents? The parents.
Yeah, well, then both of them need to speak with somebody that's a professional that can help them to see, you got to get your priorities straight. What good is it to have children and be married for 8 years if it ends in divorce and now you're paying alimony, you live in separate houses, you both have to find new people to start all over with, your children get their heads messed up, the families get messed up, and all of that could be avoided. All of that could actually be avoided, and people could actually, by learning a few simple principles, really, learn to get closer at that time rather than blowing themselves apart. It's not necessary. It's not necessary. It's possible, not that much effort. I mean, I tell you one thing, marriage counseling is a lot cheaper than divorce in terms of economics. It's a lot less expensive also in terms of loss of years of your life, and in terms of your kids having to go to psychotherapy at some point in their life, or their grades being bad because they're messed up at home, and any number of other things that can happen. I mean, it's well-known statistic that the children of divorced parents are 65% more likely to get a divorce than somebody who's not, somebody whose parents were together for their whole life. These days, parents staying together for their whole life is rather rare. And if you ask me, when people stand in front of a religious figure and their entire family, in front of God and everything, and say, I promise to stay with you for better or for worse for the rest of my life, that's a sacred vow. And when you break that vow, when you break your word, it's not just, oh, bad person. You break your own honor with yourself. You break something in yourself where you now relate to yourself like somebody who can't make it, somebody who can't keep their word, somebody who has no integrity. And when you relate to yourself like that, then you begin to relate to the world like everybody else is just something to be used for now. It has dire consequences when you break your honor with yourself. And I feel that the act of getting married and having children equals giving up your right to only make yourself happy. Giving up your right to say, hey, if you don't give it to me, I'm going to go get it elsewhere. You give up that right. We have that right as long as you're single, as long as you're not married, as long as you have a right to, look, yeah, right, if you're single and you're not happy with somebody, see you later, go someplace else. You have children now, you don't have that right anymore. People seem to think they can keep the rights. One of my friends and mentors, Dr. Pat Allen, who is a PhD in psychologist, she's taught me a lot of stuff, and she calls it the androgynous, ambisexual, narcissist. Androgynous, meaning both masculine and feminine. Today, men are more feminine than ever before, and women are more masculine than ever before. Women and men are becoming rather androgynous. Ambisexual, meaning, their sexuality can go both ways. Men tend to be receptive in sexuality, and women can often be the aggressor, which is masculine, and vice versa. So ambisexual and narcissist. A narcissistic person, a self-centered or narcissistic person, is a person that wants their feminine feelings cherished and taken care of. I want to be taken care of because I'm precious and feminine and soft and receptive and I'm, feminine and childlike and innocent. So they want that cherished, and they want their masculine thinking and directiveness and their, what they want respected. So when you have two people in a relationship who both want their feelings and their thinking respected and cherished, what you have is a neutralization. Does that make sense?
What do you mean by neutralization?
Well, in physics and in electromagnetism, a positive and a negative attract each other like a magnet, right? And if you take that magnet to, say you had two bars, each one has a positive and a negative, a positive and a negative, and a positive and a negative, right? And human beings both have a masculine and a feminine, or a positive and a negative energetic field. One is the masculine being the outgoing, directive, demands respect, I want this, I want that, and the feminine being the receptive, cherishing, cherishable, lovable, receiving, takes love and sexuality into herself. Clear? Positive and negative. If you put two positive poles together, they will push away. If you put two negative poles together, they will push away. I'm imagining that I have two bar magnets, yes? Ambisexual, narcissistic person, they have both positive and negative poles, and they're fighting for who's going to be the most masculine or who's going to be the most feminine. And they repel each other, they push each other away. And one of the things that we teach at Embrace Growth in our seminars and workshops is we teach men how to be men and women how to be women. And not that you don't already know, it's just that in a society that is predominantly ambisexual, narcissistic, that is the society of today. There was a time in the past, and I certainly remember this time, I'm old enough to remember it, where men were men. And they acted like men, and they had masculine behavior, and if you didn't act like a man, well, they called you a sissy, and men were men. And women were women, and they acted like women, and they didn't act like men. And they had certain behaviors and ways of being that were distinctly feminine. And women and men were very, very attracted to each other, and it was kind of juicy. And it gave birth to a very romantic and sexually charged atmosphere between men and women. Today, ever since the 60s and women liberation, in which women fought for the right to gain equality, and here's the key part, in the workplace. At work, equality at work is a good thing, because at work, everybody, regardless of what sex you are, is in their masculine energy. When we're at work, we're all masculine. You, me, everybody's masculine when we're at work. Because work is about intervening in the world, imposing our will, competing, fighting for the most money or the best position. That's a very masculine activity. Thinking with our logical left brain thinking, calculating and assessing things, those are all masculine activities. You understand?
Yes, but Mr. Morgan,
Yeah.
what I want to know is why at this time of her life, she has to go back to the childhood. Remembers that she never got love, she never had love from the mother, she never had a mother. She was raised by the father and all that. So
the mother was
now
gone in her life?
She said, I never had love in my life, so why don't you just show me some love instead of showing all your love to your kids?
I see.
Is this normal, or why she has to feel this way now? She's been like 30 years old now. After 2 kids, all of a sudden she has to go back to the childhood.
Yeah.
Remember what happened? She never
Well,
had any love.
there's an opportunity there, and I always say that we choose the people. We end up marrying the people and choosing the people to spend our life with that are most likely to trigger or push the buttons of unresolved, unhealed injuries from the past. We just sort of instinctively find them. Okay?
Is that right?
Yeah, we seem to instinctively find the people that just are going to push your buttons. Okay? I believe this is for a good reason. I don't think it's for a bad reason. I think it's in an attempt on the subconscious mind to resolve something that is unfinished or incomplete so that we can be whole and complete and fulfilled human beings, so we can be adults, in other words. And listen, regardless, it's true for you, it's true for me, it's true for my wife, we all have conversations in the back of our mind that are childlike conversations, right? Why doesn't mommy love me is maybe a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old, yes?
Yes.
Now she's 30, but she still has this 3-year-old that didn't get resolved. It's not an adult, and yet it's still in there running the show, you see? And so she's not wrong for that. She's crying out to get something healed. However, here's the mistake. We think that somebody else can heal us.
Uh-huh.
We think that if somebody else gave us enough love, well, that would heal this thing. It wouldn't. There would never be enough, because the real healing happens, and this is the key to what we want to talk about here in Embrace Growth, okay? Embrace Growth is all about embracing the very moment that you're in. If you're in a moment where you find yourself saying, Mommy didn't love me, how would an adult express that? What would be the adult, or at least, it's kind of hard to jump from 3-year-old to 30-year-old, so maybe, what would a 10-year-old say?
I just listen to you on TV.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not to hear about this.
Yeah, okay, go ahead. What would a 10-year-old say in a conversation called Mommy Didn't Love Me, or why didn't I get enough love as a child? We have these childlike conversations. If you can stop in those moments when you find yourself in those conversations, like my father didn't love me, or I never got to know my mother, or something like that, ask yourself, how old was I when I first had that thought, that conversation? What did I say to myself? Because all of us are saying something to ourselves all the time. There's some kind of a conversation going on in the back of your head. I say the back of your head, and I gesture to my head. It's really not in your head, okay? But in the back of your mind, in what we call the subconscious mind, or the other than conscious mind. In other words, you're not conscious of this. It's sort of invisible to you. But in your subconscious mind, there are conversations that go on. And if you can catch yourself, here's the healing. If you can catch yourself having those conversations, you notice it, you're conscious enough with your conscious mind to see what your subconscious mind is saying, then in that moment, you have the ability to make the transition from something that's running in the background and you're not aware of it, and it's running your life and ruining your relationships and having you feel bad, or limiting you in what you feel that you can accomplish. When you bring those things from the background into the foreground, you can upgrade them. They're like programs, and that's what we do in neuro-linguistic programming, and we upgrade it to a later model conversation. And in the most evolved adult conversations, Mommy didn't love me enough, or I didn't get enough love from my mom, or something like that, which may be a 3 or 4-year-old conversation. You can upgrade that to, let's say, I don't know, a 10-year-old. Okay, a 10-year-old would go, wow, I really miss Mom. I wish I had a mom that I could feel close to. And then you take that forward to, say, a 20-year-old. And what would a 20-year-old say about not having a mother? Well, I didn't have a mother, and I didn't like it, and I have made a lot of mistakes and had a lot of pain in my life about that, and I'm committed to having a more powerful life, and when I have children, I'm going to love them. And then, a 30-year-old conversation might be, I'm going to make sure my children get all the love they need from me. For the rest of their lives, I'm going to make sure that my children know that they're loved. That would be an adult conversation given by, maybe at the root or the seed of it was her mom wasn't around. You see, so you can take a negative thing, what seems to be negative, and turn it into a positive thing that actually will improve the lives of future generations so that their children get love and not only so, and their children's children get love because you said so, because you grew up and became an adult in that one little tiny area of your life, that one little area. Now, I'm not saying that not feeling loved by your mother is a small area. That's kind of a big deal for a lot of people, of course. It's very important to feel that. And I know that I have brothers who, you know, one of my brothers, my mom died when he was like 7 years old, I think. Yeah, he was about 7 years old. So he wasn't old enough he hadn't developed, his brain hadn't developed yet, his nervous system hadn't developed yet. He hadn't become even a young adolescent yet. He was still a child in the formative stages of his development. And it had drastic impact on him. This brother of mine, and I'll share something very personal with you about my own life. This brother became a drug addict and disappeared for years. And me and my family have been praying for years that he was alive, and we didn't know where he was. And I just recently, the other day, found out that that brother is alive. And for those of you who've been watching my show for maybe a number of years, I may have shared this at another time, but I've always been concerned about whether or not this young brother, my youngest brother, was alive, and I just found out that he is alive and he's living in a town that, and I plan to go see him. I don't know what he looks like anymore. It's been many years since I've seen him, but I'm going to go work with him to help him to upgrade the conversations that he's had that maybe have been hurting his life for a long time. I didn't understand it before. Now I do. I didn't have the tools before to be able to share with him in a way and assist him and help him in a way that would make a difference in his life. I didn't know what to say to him. Now I know that I can help him, and I hope that he'll accept my help. You know, he's certainly never asked for it. And so as far as your friend is concerned, who has got 2 children, who's wanting some love from her husband, getting back around to that because I got to wrap it up. Her job is to be able to find her own personal self-growth and quit depending on somebody else, because her husband may or may not give her the love that she needs, but even if he gave her all the love that he had, it would not compensate for the love that she didn't get when she was a mother. So that's one thing. As far as he's concerned, he's playing a very childish game, and I would call him a mama's boy. Oh, you don't give me what I want? I'll go get it somewhere else. He's treating his woman like property, like a sex object or something, rather than treating her like the sacred mother of his children, the future of his genetic line, woman that he promised to love and care for, even when she's not being lovable. Maybe she doesn't look as pretty as she did when he married her, now that she's had 2 children. She can do something about that. Maybe he's got his own financial pressures, any number of things. But he needs to put his concern as a man. What a man does is put his concerns aside. A masculine adult man will put his own personal needs and wants aside for a moment and look over there at his wife and the mother of his children and say, what can I do to help you feel better? What can I do to bring some love and light and joy into your life? You know, sometimes it's just open the door, bring home some flowers, cook dinner, you know, clean up the place a little bit, take her someplace special, hire a babysitter and take her out and make her feel loved. You know, to show love and to give love doesn't necessarily mean you have to feel the feelings of love. Love is a verb. It's something you do whether you feel like it or not. And when you show the actions of love, when you be loving, then you will naturally begin to feel the feelings of love. It comes with the doing of it. People that are waiting around for love the feeling of love to come over me, you know, if I just, you know, hope or complain or whine enough, somebody will love me enough so that I'll feel good about myself. Forget about it. That ain't never going to happen. That's being feminine. That's being a child. That's being like, oh, you know, if I cry and whine and moan enough, maybe my mommy will give me a cookie, you know? And that's the kind of childish relationship he's having with his wife. So both of these people need to go see a counselor of some kind. If you find one in their area, or they can see myself or my wife, who will help them to upgrade their conversation to an adult conversation and deal with it as adults, because they gave up their rights. When they had children, they can't go around acting like children themselves. They got to grow up, be adults, and I promise you, there's plenty of love and satisfaction and fulfillment way beyond your dreams in being romantically connected, loving and sexually, having children and being a parent. So that's it for my show today. I appreciate you watching. I hope this helped you with your relationships. And I'll see you back here again next week on Love Talk.
Dr. Sion's YouTube channel is the place to find quick, free, and timely answers to all of your relationship questions. If you like our content, click the like button on our videos and let us know what you think in the comment section below. Send us your questions through social media or by calling in during the show. Subscribe to get notifications about new videos and when we're streaming live. Join us during the week to watch our shows live. See the latest videos from Dr. Azita Sion and your favorite clips of Doña Yeshk. Visit us at youtube.com/Dr. Azita Sion.
در کارگاه‌های آموزشی بانوان به رهبری دکتر آزیتا سایان با دستیابی به اهمیت و ارزش واقعی خود، قدرت زنانگی و آرامش خود را بازیابید. محیطی مناسب و هیجان انگیز برای رشد و شکوفایی عشق، ازدواج و خانواده خلق کنید. زنی شاد باشید، قلب مردان را بشناسید و آنها را درک کنید. کارگاه آموزشی بانوان، لس آنجلس 25 تا 27 می، تورنتو 8 تا 10 جون. برای ثبت نام در این کارگاه‌ها با شماره 310 460 2600 تماس بگیرید.
شکست وجود ندارد، فقط پیروزی واقعی است. سمینار از شکست تا پیروزی توسط دکتر آزیتا سایان دوشنبه 14 می در دابل تری بای هیلتون سانتا مونیکا. برای رزرو جا و اطلاعات بیشتر با دفتر Embrace Growth تماس بگیرید. 310 460 2600.
اپلیکیشن Embrace Growth با ساختن اکانت شخصی شما می توانید وارد پروفایل خود شده و تنظیمات آن را تغییر دهید. به تمامی رویدادها و محصولات دسترسی داشته باشید. با چند کلیک برای سمینارها و کارگاه‌ها ثبت نام کنید و یا وقت مشاوره خود را رزرو نمایید. اپلیکیشن Embrace Growth را امروز از اپ استور دانلود کنید و به خانواده جهانی Embrace Growth بپیوندید. اپلیکیشن Embrace Growth همکنون در اپ استور. با ساختن اکانت شخصی شما می توانید پروفایل خود را مدیریت و زبان مورد نظر خود را بین فارسی و انگلیسی انتخاب کنید. وقت مشاوره خود را رزرو نمایید. محصولات از جمله CD، DVD و کتاب‌ها را خریداری و دانلود نمایید و یا برای کارگاه‌ها و سمینارها نام‌نویسی کنید. همچنین شما می توانید به برنامه‌های تلویزیونی و رادیویی دکتر سایان و یا آقای مورگن به صورت رایگان دسترسی داشته باشید. اپلیکیشن Embrace Growth را امروز از اپ استور دانلود کنید. یک مرد منحصر به فرد، مسلط، متمرکز، قابل اعتماد و رضایتمند. چنین مردی باشید. به ما در مسیر رسیدن به قلب مردانگی بپیوندید و خود برترتان را درون خود بیابید. کارگاه شرافت، عزت کلام و مهارت به رهبری دکتر آزیتا سایان ارائه شده توسط شرکت Embrace Growth در ایروان 9 تا 11 آگوست. همین امروز ثبت نام کنید و شاهد تحول زندگیتان باشید. برنامه دنیای عشق با دکتر آزیتا سایان، برنامه‌ای که تمامی سوالهای شما را جواب می‌دهد. ازدواج، عشق، سکس، همجنسگرایی، فرزندان، والدین، خیانت. از یوتیوب لایو استریم، فیسبوک و اینستاگرام لایو. سه‌شنبه ها و پنجشنبه ها 10 شب به وقت ایران و 10:30 صبح به وقت لس آنجلس. تلفن تماس با استودیو 818 532 6655.
Embrace Growth has a new home online where you can easily register for workshops and events, order from the online store, and be part of the worldwide community of Embrace Growth graduates. You'll be able to see Dr. Rosita Sayan and Mr. Gregory Morgan in your favorite seminars. Visit us today at embracegrowth.com. A haven for the weary soul, a source of inspiration and community, redesigned to bring you meaningful experiences and unforgettable events. We are a worldwide community of vibrant individuals displayed in the people who are a part of it, from many nations, backgrounds, and beliefs. Through powerful outreach programs, the struggles of everyday life are confronted and conquered, transforming those who participate into the best versions of themselves. One-on-one sessions are available to keep you headed in the right direction, coupled with the best resources to remind you how to live, whether at home or elsewhere. Programs designed for men, providing the building blocks of maturity, commitment, integrity, and leadership, paving the way for productive and fulfilling manhood. Beyond an understanding of masculine leadership is its application in daily life and development into something truly unique. Exclusive training for women, encouraging growth and empowerment through an acceptance of their true identities, redefining interactions, and changing the viewpoint through which life is seen. Embracing the woman within and accessing facets of your personality hidden beneath the surface. Showing our youth the value of integrity and reliability by creating an indwelling desire to succeed with honor, basing the future on a solid foundation of ideals that will guide them through life, leading by example, and showing others how to clearly convey their thoughts in a compelling way, creating a culture of mature leaders who can help others achieve self-confidence and their goals. Real people and real lives are changed for the better. With every event, more are touched and come to an understanding of their place in this world and their community. Embrace Growth is run by a passionate team and led by the diligence and inspiration of Dr. Azita Sayan and Mr. Gregory Morgan, who consistently teach life lessons based on what works, rather than the passing fads of the times.
جایگاهی امن برای جانهای خسته، سرچشمه الهام بخشی و یک پارچگی، آنگونه طراحی شده که برای شما تجربه هایی پرمعنا و رویدادهایی فراموش نشدنی به ارمغان بیاورد. ما یک جامعه جهانی از اشخاصی هستیم که شور زندگی در رگهایشان جاری است، از تمام ملیت‌ها و اقوام، با هر پیشینه و باوری. به وسیله برنامه‌های قدرتمند و وسیع، شرکت کنندگان در تنازع هر روزه زندگی دست و پنجه نرم کرده، آن را مغلوب ساخته و به بهترین خود دست می‌یابند. جلسات خصوصی برای راهنمایی شما در مسیر درست مهیا شده که همراه با منابع عالی به شما راه درست زندگی را یادآوری می‌کند. برنامه‌های طراحی شده برای آقایان، پایه‌های کمال، تعهد، عزت کلام و رهبری را تدارک می‌بینند و راه را برای دستیابی به مردانگی و سازندگی هموار می‌سازند. آنچه فرای شناخت انرژی هادی مردانه است، اعمال آن در زندگی هر روزه و پرداخت آن به یک چیز استثنایی میباشد. آموزش‌های منحصر به فرد بانوان آنان را از طریق پذیرش خویشتن راستین رشد می‌دهد و قدرتمند می‌سازد. نقطه نظرهای فرم گرفته را تغییر داده، تعامل آنان در روابط را بازبینی می‌کند. افزودن بر درک زنانه و تبدیل شدن به آنچه تجسمی است از زنانگی، در بر گرفتن و دستیابی به ژرفای زنانگی خیش که مدت هاست خاموش و پنهان است. آنچه به نوجوانان می‌آموزیم مسئولیت، بها و ارزش کلام و اعتبار است، با خلق شور و هیجان برای موفقیتی شرافتمندانه. آینده را بر بنیادی قوی از ایدئال‌ها بنا می‌کنیم تا راهنمای آنها در زندگی باشد. نشان دادن و همچنین الگو بودن در چگونگی انتقال افکار و ایده‌های خود به طور شفاف و کامل با شور و هیجانی ذاتی. خلق فرهنگی از رهبرانی متعالی با توانایی کمک به دیگران برای دستیابی به اعتماد به نفس و رسیدن به اهدافشان. انسان‌ها و زندگی‌ها به طور حقیقی ارتقا می‌یابند و با هر رویداد و هر برنامه انسان‌های بیشتری تحت تأثیر قرار گرفته و به جایگاه واقعی خود در جامعه و جهان هستی واقف می‌شوند. Embrace Growth توسط افرادی کوشا و تیمی پویا هدایت می شود و الهام گرفته از دکتر آزیتا سایان و آقای گرگوری مورگن به طور مستمر درس‌های زندگی بر پایه راهکارهایی سازنده و ماندگار را ارائه می دهد. یک مرد منحصر به فرد، مسلط، متمرکز، قابل اعتماد و رضایتمند. چنین مردی باشید. به ما در مسیر رسیدن به قلب مردانگی بپیوندید و خود برترتان را درون خود بیابید. کارگاه شرافت، عزت کلام و مهارت به رهبری دکتر آزیتا سایان ارائه شده توسط شرکت Embrace Growth در ایروان 9 تا 11 آگوست. همین امروز ثبت نام کنید و شاهد تحول زندگیتان باشید.